When men are looking to get married, they're often warned to look at a girl's mother if they want to know what she'll look like in 30 years' time. It's sensible advice for the man. But as a modern woman whose mother isn't terribly photogenic, it's frightening to know that you may be judged by your family photographs. Fortunately, your genetic heritage can be easily covered up with the help of some modern technology. Simply scan your family photographs. Then scan photographs of a supermodel who's aged gracefully, someone like Isabella Rossellini or Deborah Hutton. Today, I'm using Saskia. Such good bone structure. Then, simply paste her beautiful image on top of your real mother in your family photographs. And that's me at school, and that's my mum.
Wow, your mother's really beautiful.
Yes, the women in our family seem to grow more beautiful as they get older. Once you've pulled it off, you just have to cover yourself so you don't get caught. She would have loved to have met you. Unfortunately, she's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Don't worry. You can meet my stepmother. She's the one I call Mum now. And that's all there is to it. A fun and easy way to maximise your chances by modifying your genes. Whenever someone has been in a near-fatal accident, they always say that their brush with death gave them a new lease on life. So, if you're in a relationship that's going stale, why not liven it up by nearly killing him? All you have to do is drain the brake fluid from his car. Penny showed me how to do this. Then, sit back and wait for the police to call with news that your loved one is in hospital. That was quick. Hello? Is he okay? Oh, thank God.
Oh, Sigourney. All I can think about was how much I love you.
That's wonderful.
And as soon as I get out of here, let's get married.
Okay. Bye. Well, that went better than expected. Normally, I like to collect an engagement ring with a proposal, but he gave me a blank check, and I guess that's better anyway. That's all there is to it. It's high risk for high return. Sure, it may go terribly wrong, but if he isn't going to commit to you, you might as well get rid of him anyway. You know, having sex with a stranger is really fun. Being thrust up against the wall of the men's toilets for a 2-minute slammer, or finding the perfect public place for some moonlight mauling. It really is the stuff of dreams. But in reality, it's not without its complications for the modern woman. 1, he leaves and then never calls you back again. 2, he never leaves and then when he finally does, he never stops calling you. Or 3, you wake up to discover you've got a million diseases and a bun in the reluctant oven. But don't worry, because in these modern times of body and soul, I found the perfect solution to the dangers of anonymous sex. Simply get yourself a personal trainer, because as I'm about to demonstrate, you can enjoy all the thrills of hardcore intimacy without the weirdness and worry. Now, Andre here says that this exercise is working my butt, my abs, and my lower back. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm getting worked all over. I'm clamped to one of the buffest bodies I've ever seen. And in terms of erotic content, well, I'm in a public place and I'm with a hot stranger. Hey, Andre, can we do that other thing now? This exercise is called the thigh stretcher. But if you close your eyes, well, enough said. So take a leaf out of my book and get yourself a personal trainer today. They're listed at your local gym and in your local papers. And the great thing is their first consultation is usually free, so you can thigh stretch your way around town without paying a cent and without the burden of regret, disease and pregnancy. And let's face it, at 1 hour a session, that's 10 times longer than any other man in town. Hey, Andre, you want to get a frappe later? Although a modern woman loves to have sex, it's still difficult to choose who to have sex with. Although he may be attractive, it doesn't necessarily mean he'll be a giving and generous lover. So, here's a good way to discern the demon lovers from the duds. All you have to do is invite him over for a home-cooked meal. Then when he arrives, tell him there's been a little mix-up. I'm so sorry, I got my timing all wrong. I've got all the ingredients to prepare this fantastic entree. It'll take us about 40 minutes to prepare and cook, but it tastes fantastic. It's my absolute favourite. Or I've got this fillet steak, which can be ready to eat in just minutes. So, what do you think? Should we take the time to prepare a delicious entree together? Or are you so hungry that you just want to forget the entree and gobble the main meal right now? Entree, main. Entree, main. Entree, main. As soon as he's made his decision, you can make yours. Any man who's prepared to delay his meat pleasure for 40 minutes to make a lovely and fiddly entree just to please you is the kind of man you want to spend the night with. A long, long night. Bon appetit. So, shopping has to be one of the most relaxing and rewarding experiences around for today's modern woman. But the most common mistake a conscientious fashion shopper can make is buying an item that you can't accessorise with the rest of your wardrobe. And trying to remember the exact colour shade of every item of clothing that you have will be absolutely maddening. So here's an easy way to make sure you always buy the right outfit. All you need is one of these. Excuse me, I'm trying to pick the right colour. Do you mind holding them up? Thank you. Now, while the salesgirl is temporarily blinded, simply cut a small piece of fabric from each of the garments you're interested in. Thanks. Then when you're at home, test your cuttings against the rest of your wardrobe. That's the one. Now you know exactly what to buy. I like it, but it's damaged. How about it 50% off? Oh, sorry, the button on this thing is so sensitive. Not that you actually have to go home with the damaged one. Every modern woman, married or single, no matter how socially adept, will eventually find herself home alone with an itch to scratch that just won't go away. So, every girl needs a little helper like this. It doesn't always take two to tango, and let me tell you, there's no shame in a little solo dirty dancing. The trouble is, no matter where you hide it, there's still a chance that your lover, boyfriend or husband is going to find it. And men hate the idea that you might actually get sexual pleasure from something that isn't them, especially something that stays hard for over 4 minutes. So, the eternal question remains, how do you have your little helper and hide it too? Well, as Edgar Allan Poe taught us in the Purloined Letter, the best place to hide something is out in the open. People never look for something that's right in their face every day. So, here's the way to make sure that your not so little secret is safe. Disguise it as a toilet roll holder. Simply remove the roll from the bracket and then insert your pleasure machine as the spindle of the toilet roll holder. And there you go. Men are so used to having these kinds of phallic objects in the loo, they'll never give it a second thought. Oh, and if he does call you on the phallic shape of the holder, accuse him of having a filthy mind and ask him if he often has homoerotic thoughts like that. He'll back off quick smart, so he'll never discover that the loo roll holder is battery operated.
It's quite embarrassing. They should hide it, they should keep it in a private place.
I'm not saying I have one, but in the clothes, you know, you put them all at the back there and just make sure it's your private drawer. But then again, don't call it a private drawer because they're bound to go for it.
One chick I know that does have a dildo doesn't hide it. And her boyfriend doesn't hide it either. They just leave it lying around. Yeah. Which gets me a bit horny.
In this day and age, we're more and more conscious of what we're putting into our bodies and what we're putting on our bodies. So, when you're next buying makeup, here's a label all modern women should look for. Not tested on animals. It's important because it means the manufacturers haven't really found out for sure whether or not your makeup will react with your skin. Now, I'm all for animal liberation, but if it's the choice between a bunny suffering hours of excruciating pain before a tortured death or me getting a nasty rash on my cheek just before a big night out, well, it's no contest. And because this sort of thing now dominates the cosmetics industry, almost nothing has had a proper test on flesh. So here's a solution. Simply offer to look after your friend's children. Then have a fun makeup session where the kids can try on all the newly released makeup lines. Children are best for makeup trials for 2 reasons. Firstly, they love to wear lots of makeup. Little girls will want to apply more than a prostitute, and little boys will always want to paint their face like a clown, so they're guaranteed to get maximum exposure to any nasties. And secondly, their young skin is much, much more sensitive than yours. So if they come away unscathed, then you know that your cosmetics are completely safe. And if they discover a product that's probably best avoided, those tears will be washed away with a piece of chocolate long before Mummy and Daddy come home. Make sure you carefully note the product so that you never use it and so you can recommend it to girlfriends who've done you wrong. Or better? So remember, it's still possible to have a clear conscience and a clear complexion. Not tested on animals? No need when they've been tested on little angels. Uncomfortable shoes can take the fun out of even the nicest evening. Your mind should be focused on him, but instead it's focused on the pain from the blood blister that's swelling up in your stiletto. But of course you can't wear comfortable shoes. We all know what they say about women who wear comfortable shoes. Fortunately, I have a solution. Next time you have a big night out wearing sadomasochistic shoes, get a doctor to give you an epidural.
That's right. Once I inject this anesthetic into Sigourney's spine, she won't be able to feel anything from the waist down.
Thanks, Dr. Rudy. Do you like my new shoes? They could be lined with razor blades. I don't feel a thing. Now I can hang on his every word without selfishly thinking about my own pain. True, you do need to take sex into consideration. But I find that in certain cases, not being able to feel anything can sometimes be an advantage.
Okay, I've picked up heaps of chicks in the clubs. They got high heels on. I mean, they come home. Sometimes I go home, a couple of them if I'm lucky, and they got all blisters and that. And I go, what do you wear them? They go, I don't care, just to look good. They go, to pick up me, mate. That's right. So it's all right. I don't care. It's their pain, not my loss.
A lot of women these days make choices, and we're all different, and that's okay. A modern woman should never wear comfortable shoes. I mean, pretty shoes may be uncomfortable to walk in, but you don't have to walk anywhere when you've been swept off your feet. I admire career women. I mean, if I went home alone every night to nothing but an empty house, a cask of Chardonnay and a frozen lean cuisine, I mean, I'd get so lonely. A modern woman should chew each mouthful 32 times. It helps you to remember not to speak and gives you that shy, deferential look. What do I think of Germaine Greer? Well, I don't want to be cruel because she is an old lady, and it's not her fault she's a lesbian. When I was a little girl, my grandmother used to say to me, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" She was so into metaphysics. It was so sad. For the modern woman scorned, melodramatic acts are always tempting, but only momentarily satisfying. Pining, sobbing and binging are just so unattractive, and such a waste of time that could be better spent planning revenge. Revenge is so empowering. When you've been unaccountably Dear Janed, why not strike back by taking aim where he's most sensitive, his wallet. Hello, Larson. No, don't speak. I'll be brief. Look, I need to come round this evening to pick up my belongings and to return your keys. Yes, and I'd prefer it if you weren't there. I just don't think I'm ready to see you right now. Once inside, head straight for his study and access his internet connection settings. Most national service providers give you a local phone number to dial up your nearest access point, so that every time you log on, it'll cost you no more than a local call. However, these access points are nationwide, and you may select a more remote one. So, simply change his local default phone number to one interstate. Now, every time you're tempted to think about him going about his life sans you, well, at least you know his newfound freedom will be costing him around 70 cents a minute.
If she broke up with me, you know, it's her fault, so I might as well, you know, ruin her life so she can never date another bloke ever again.
I have had guys come up to my house, break into my house and come up with like guns and also machetes, threatening to kill me.
You'd get the prank calls or the crank calls 5 times a day, 6 times a day, brick through your window, obsessive calls to your home, which really upsets your parents living at home also.
She tried to tell everyone that I was sleeping with her best friend, but then I told everyone that she actually masturbated. You know what I mean?
At this very moment, countless refugees are landing on our shores, driven by panic and despair, risking everything in one last desperate grab for a better life. And as a result of this human horror, innocent children are suffering from all sorts of emotional problems. And as modern Australian women, we can't let this happen, because there is something we can all do to help. Firstly, take some calico and draw up a small human shape. Then cut 2 of these out and sew them together, making sure you leave a small hole. And then fill it with soft stuffing. And sew it shut. All done. Isn't it darling? It's a faceless Amish doll. It's the type of doll used to educate children at Steiner schools. Having no face helps children develop their imagination by letting them project the human features they feel comfortable with onto the doll. So by giving your children this doll, they'll be able to project this faceless image onto the faces of refugees. Once they can see them as a faceless mass rather than individual strangers, our children, like us, can look forward to a less scary tomorrow. It really is an investment in not just your child's education, but Australia's future. As a modern woman, it's important to be very selective when you choose your friends. After all, your friends' friends are the pool of people that you're most likely to have sex with. So, if you want a healthy sex life with men who have a healthy bank balance, then my advice is to befriend your father. It makes perfect sense. After all, your father has much more eligible friends than you do. They have money, heart conditions, and unattractive menopausal wives, making them ripe for the picking. And men that are much older are fantastically fun to reel in. Because they're so easy, there's absolutely no need to be subtle. Oh, Uncle Roberto, I'd just love to go for a ride in your big old Mercedes. Shall we?
Absolutely.
One of the best things about these older family men is there's plenty of room in their bigger family cars. Room you'll need to help them reassess their family values. Maybe after he's fully funded a fabulous night out. So you see, ladies, your daddy really is your best friend. I've only been socialising with mine for 2 hours and I'm already having a fabulous time.